2009 PGA show. I'm with one of my favorite guys to visit, Jesse Oriz, Bobby Jones Golf, and Jesse's going to tell us about the latest and greatest from Bobby Jones. What do we got?
Well, let's start off with the fairway woods. How's that?
Sure.
Fairway woods that I've got out new this year, two really different models. One's more of a pear shape that you can see like this. Okay, and the other one is a little bit more triangular, kind of like my old, well, kind of like my current driver.
Old driver?
Yeah.
Was that a Freudian slip?
Well, I brought it out last season. So in this market, if you don't have a new driver every 90 days, everyone thinks that, you know, it's...
Right, the computer industry wishes it had that kind of turnover rate.
That's right. So I got two fairway woods. The triangular shaped one's a little bit shallower. The pear shaped one's a little bit deeper. But the real key to both of them is the construction. And that is...
Where's the magnesium? Yeah.
The construction of the club is this. It's a magnesium crown and hosel that weighs a fraction of what aluminum does. So the rest of this then is partly cast and then forged. Cup face design, very, very thin face. Again, the Maraging steel, but you'll see that it's a cup face joined with the sole. This hardly weighs anything. This is obviously a lot denser for a very, very low center of gravity. So for golfers that are having trouble with their fairway woods, I would recommend the triangular designed one because it's really easy to get the ball in the air. It comes in 15 degrees. The fairway wood that's more pear-shaped, that comes in a 13 and a 15. That's really for better players. So that's the story with the new fairway woods. Then we've got the new hybrid. The hybrid will be out in about April. Still very much kind of the same shape that I had before, kind of the old sleek toe, kind of looks like an old cleek from the turn of the century. What it's got that's different is for the better players, it's got just an eyelash of offset, just to give you kind of a look, like a little sweep, kind of like an iron. But same construction as my old hybrid with the Maraging crown, Maraging steel face. But what I've done that's unique this year is I've kept the same thin hosel, but I've made it a little longer. It does raise the center of gravity more, so these are really for a little bit better player. But the key is you'll see that there's like a ring that's cut out at the bottom of the hosel. Right. And that ring is a stress point. What happens is with the longer neck, you're now able to put this in a loft and lie machine, bend it either upright or flat, or you can bend it open or close, and the stress goes right in, or the bend stress point goes right into that ring area. So you don't weaken the hosel, you're able to bend it. So it's really the only hybrid that you can adjust the hosel on, and it gives you a lot more versatility.
Very cool. Yeah, that would be a nice thing to have when you get on a simulator and you're checking out your, you know, your launch angles and all that kind of thing.
That's right, Tony, because what happens, even though this still has the same big curvature contour that all my hybrids have had, which still makes them very, very versatile in lots of lies, you know, if you have someone who's 6'5" and you have someone who's 5'5", you know what, it does help if you can adjust the lie angle. My curved sole really helped out a lot, but now with this hosel, it just makes, you know, gives you a whole bunch of different custom options.
Well, that's great, and you now have lefties.
I now have it with the Pels wedges, the Bobby Jones Pels wedges. We've added a 48-degree wedge because a lot of people like the fact that we had 52, 56, 60, and 64, but they wanted to finish out the whole wedge set with the Pels wedges. So we made a 48, and then we've added a line of lefties too. So we make the lefties in 48 through 64 also.
And you know, for those who don't know much about the degrees of clubs, 48 was a standard pitching wedge X years ago.
That's right.
Now it's a 9-iron or
9-iron.
You know.
Today, well, in the old days, Tony, the old days, when in the forging days, pitching wedges wedges were really around 50 degrees. Now, now they've gone to 48 if it's a forging, but almost all the cast wedges on the market are stronger than that. 46, 45. I mean, they're really like 9.
I know the one in my set's 46.
Yeah, everyone's juiced them up in the name of technology. You know, it's a bunch of baloney. But
well, didn't they also do that so that they could squeeze one more set out of the irons, presumably to sell more clubs?
Well, I've heard that, but I really think that with the advent of being able to make the heads a little larger and lower the center of gravity on the irons, they juiced them up a little bit so that you wouldn't lose any distance. You could actually pick up some distance. What happened is everything got squeezed up except your sand wedge, because you don't want a sand wedge that's 52 degrees. You wouldn't be able to get out of the sand.
Right.
So everything got squeezed up, and that is how the gap wedge was born, because a 48 or 50 degree pitching wedge became now a 45, 46 degree wedge.
Right, and that
now
gap got bigger and bigger.
10 degree gap between that club and a real sand iron. So, you know, a lot of people just didn't know that. They're just buying, you know, 3-through pitch, and then they got a sand iron, and then they wonder why they can't hit the green from you know, 85 or 100 yards out. It's because they don't have a club that can go 100 yards. The pitching wedge goes about 110, and the sand wedge goes about 80. You know, they buy all this fancy equipment. They wonder why they haven't improved. You know what? You improve by working on your 100-yard and in game. You don't improve because, gee, you get a new driver and you get it, you know, 10 yards further. It's all about scoring. So, you know, so I'm happy with how the wedges came out, and a lot of people also, Tony, don't realize that this is the last year you're going to be able to buy square groove wedges.
Right. I was going to ask you about that, because your faces, you know, the way you manufacture those, you don't have to redo the whole head.
No.
You can just change the face.
Well, you could change the face.
You know,
it makes it a little different
in your process.
But what we really are telling everyone is that, you know, the face is indestructible. It'll last years with the same spin rate as the day that you bought it, and it's going to be even more of an advantage to have the Bobby Jones Pels wedges versus anything else, because you're going to be able to use them with top performance for years, where the other wedges made out of soft metal, yeah, they feel great, but they're not going to last you a season or more than 2 seasons. That's it. When you go out and buy a Cleveland or a Vokey or any one of the wedges that are out there now, it's going to wear out in a couple of years. You're going to go out and buy a new one,
and it's not going to have the square grooves.
V grooves, and you're going to be at a big disadvantage. So it's like Golf Digest said, with our wedges, you won't have to stockpile a bunch of wedges. You know, these will last you for years. And you know, I think that's a very, very important point, is that no square grooves after 2009. You won't be able to buy them. Yet the Pels wedges, the Bobby Jones Pels wedges, you buy them this year, they're going to last you for years and years and years.
Well, Jesse, thank you very much for your time. Always enjoy talking to you.
It's always great to be on your blog, Tony. Thanks very much. Thanks.
All right, man. Thanks.